Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, marks and smarks alike, we proudly welcome you to the internet's only wrestling podcast. That's right, we are the only one. We want to welcome you to Pin the Champ! All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Pin the Champ. It's me, Jeremiah. We got Song here, and welcome back, Kyle. He's back after a couple weeks absent, a couple episode absence.
Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Welcome back.
That's right. You missed Sawyer, stood in for you.
Good.
Was it last episode that Sawyer stood in?
I think so, yes.
And talked much shit. And talked much shit about
seems
shit.
Accurate.
I think that it's gonna really have to come down to like a parking lot brawl between you guys.
I want Sawyer, and I want him in a cage.
I think that's what it's basically gonna have to build to.
We're gonna do our own Wrestle Rock Rumble, and
do you think we could get like a crowd of 15?
I think we could. I think
like a parking lot of like an advanced auto.
I think easily. Sawyer, if we were going to do a cage match, we could absolutely at least get 15 people there.
Where the hell are we going to get a cage from? Like Home Depot?
The zoo.
Well, there's Street Beefs. Have you ever watched Street Beefs on YouTube?
No, but
no.
I'm going to.
Oh, guys.
I'm interested.
Can we make this a mandate? Can we make this a mandate?
Or like actual like combat sports, not just combat entertainment sports. I would recommend Street Beefs on YouTube. It's so fun. It's basically amateur fighting, but some of the guys actually aren't amateur. Some of them are actually like
legit,
really talented.
Is this like bum fights?
Kind of. Yeah, I mean some of them are bums. In that, some of them are bums. Yes. No, it's like I don't know if it's like how I imagine it goes is like they go to like your gathering of the Juggalo type shows, and they're like a booth, and they come and you can fight hey man, Derek's been hitting on my woman. I'm gonna fight. I'm calling Derek out. I'm calling him out.
It's like Jerry Springer is the ref.
Yeah, you settle your beats, but then there are actual like guys who are, and this is all throughout Virginia. They're like,
oh wow.
Yeah, it's like there's local guys, there's Richmond guys, there's Henrico guys, there's like methed out people from Harrisonburg. Like it's everywhere, and
like meth, it's everywhere.
Yeah, like the opioid epidemic that's sweeping our holler, our wonderful state of Virginia.
Our Commonwealth
everywhere. Yeah, but. Speaking of our Commonwealth, I believe our toast today is going to be to the legalization of cannabis in the state of Virginia. Congratulations.
Yeah. Happy 4th of July weekend, guys. It might smell a little funny this 4th around here this year.
But don't worry. It's just a mixture of fireworks and weed.
Exactly.
Definitely.
We'll just go ahead and raise the toast while we're on the subject here.
Way to go.
Way to go. Cheers.
Toast. Cheers, Virginia. Good job. Raise your glass or your bong or whatever you do.
It's all legal now.
I'm like Kofi Kingston early career. Legalize it.
Legalize.
I also have a fake accent.
There you go. So this episode, of course, we're going to be reviewing Monday Night Raw from March 8th, 1993. So you know what we say. If you want to, stop the episode, go check out Raw. By now, if you're a listener, you might already have checked out the Raw, so you were ready for this episode. Who knows? You'll get more out of it, maybe. I don't know. You'll love us either which way. But
there's only one thing I can say about this episode. Getting to know you.
Yeah. Getting to know all about you. Yeah. So Kyle, before we get to the episode, where the hell can people find our podcast any damn way?
Why, we're available all over the internet. They can find us at Podbean, at Spotify, on Amazon with our good friend Jeffrey Bezos. They can find us at Podbean and Apple. That's pretty impressive. Apple.
Yeah.
They can also find us at YouTube. All those
of them at least 3 or 4 times.
Apple. Spotify, your Apple, kids.
Yeah. Don't Google
Subscribe and follow.
Don't Google your Podbean. You know what your mom says. Don't Google your Podbean. You'll go blind.
Oh man. So what's going on besides these 90s era Raws? What wrestling have you guys been watching? What's caught your attention in the news?
What wrestling have I been watching? I watched man, all these releases. I've had a real WWF issue. I've watched a little bit of AEW. I enjoyed WWE Dynamite as it were. I believe that's
that was hilarious. Yeah. That was good stuff.
Yeah.
JR.
Good old JR.
I've seen some great memes around that. Have you seen the one where it's like looking where JR's walking with AEW Dynamite like hand in hand like his girlfriend, and then he's looking back at WWE Dynamite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
You know what's cool? Like the Young Buck Twitter account actually call them out on it themselves. They were like, catch us on the next episode of WWE Dynamite.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I really like
Del Wilkes, rest in peace.
Oh yeah, Del Wilkes, the Patriot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. America.
Yeah, not one of the guys that was around during the time that I watched, but I did see him once I came back to the product. I watched, he feuded with my guy Bret Hart when Bret was doing the whole like
Team Canada.
Yeah,
stuff.
Exactly. The heel in America facing Canada. And also a fun fact that I had heard before, but I kind of forgot about it until I was doing a little research on Mr. Wilkes. And Kurt Angle ripped off his entrance. He had the original. Yep. And it got repurposed for Kurt Angle.
You suck.
Did they chant "You suck" to him too?
I don't know. Not that I know of.
Fans were much more respectful back in Del Wilkes' day. They wore suit and ties to the arena, and ladies wore pearls, and children had like little newsboy caps, and they would run around and you could get a beer for a nickel. I tell you what wrestling I've been watching a lot of. I've been watching a lot of old Arn Anderson matches because of his son. I'm between listening to I have to temper. I listen to a lot more wrestling shoots than I do watch wrestling, it seems like these days.
Right.
Because I like hearing stories about like the old days when it was a lot more carny. I love the carny aspect of wrestling for me. Having to like weight a tennis racket so you can fight off the fans in Louisiana. Like that's my type of wrestling.
Right, exactly. So you're in love with like anything Jim Cornette.
So I've been watching a lot of like Arn's old stuff because he's on YouTube with the Arn Show with Conrad, and I've really enjoyed that. I love listening to those stories. I think Arn is like one of the classiest dudes in the business.
Have you seen his son Brock on AEW at all?
No, is he any good?
He's really green right now.
He's really awkward.
Really, yeah. I don't know how you would. I don't know if he has it to be a professional wrestler. Yeah. From what I can just like little that I've seen so far on TV, he's not cutting it.
Well, I think it's hard too to break in nowadays because like you have to break in essentially on TV. I mean, you don't have to, but like
maybe you can work those dark matches.
Yeah.
So they feel like they're ready. I think they might have put him on TV too early just because of his dad at this point.
That's hard. That's hard whenever you're a talent who is a legacy talent. You need to be able to grow, but it's hard to grow because people are watching you.
Yeah, I mean, like Randy Orton had Ohio Valley to train at.
OVW.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what NXT is supposed to be, but it's
all televised.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have that with it televised. You need the privacy of like a safe. Oh no, everybody's like, oh, safe space this, safe space that, like, oh, whatever. You need like when you're doing a creative art, you need a area in which you can create and fail and
practice your craft.
Comfortable, exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't always need to be high pressure because you're on live television.
Like you need to be, if you're going to get better at anything, you need to fail, and being able to fail comfortably for a few years is how you build up a really good talented performer. So
I will say this about what I've seen from Brock Anderson. The issue that I have is
I don't like that his name's Brock already.
Yeah. It already gives me like I'm already thinking about Brock Lesnar. But anyway, the thing that I've noticed about him is that it's that he doesn't know when to face the camera. It's that kind of stuff. Like I think he's going to be fine talent wise because
learning your angles is hard, man. Playing the angles is hard. That is something that will come with experience. I mean, like honestly, at the end of the day, like if we have the option of either him keeping his head in the ring and missing his angles or worrying about his angles and hurting somebody in the ring, I'd rather him miss his angles. That being said, they should name him something other than Brock. Mad Dog Anderson.
Mad Dog Anderson sounds awesome. Like Luna Vachon, Mad Dog.
Yeah, Mad Dog. What is
Vachon?
Vachon, yeah.
Luna's dead.
Yeah, she died.
And I want to go back to something you said earlier.
You said Luna's dad. I thought you said Luna's dead. I was like, yeah, she
died. Yeah, that too. But no, I was saying her dad.
Luna's dead.
Luna's dead. Okay. No.
All right.
Quite a transition there.
You were mentioning the releases bumming you out, and I actually wanted to mention that because even though I haven't watched yet SmackDown. Spoiler alert, guys, which is funny because we're on a 2-week delay, so we're not going to be spoiling anything for anybody. But according to Wrestling Inc., Zelina Vega returned recently to the WWE. Yeah, she is now an entrant.
Making that much money as she thought on Twitch.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, according to what I was reading, it says that she's returned. She returned on SmackDown, and she's now an entrant in the Money in the Bank match.
She asked for her release. She wasn't one of the one that was released.
Right. I don't know the whole story, but I think it was that she was like, no, I want my release because I'm not going to quit the
Twitch and
all that stuff. But the what I read said that they actually did some speaking back and forth. She went to the Performance Center and potentially WWE even apologized to her about some of the way that things went, which is kind of, if that happened, that's kind of cool. That's interesting and cool.
So is Aleister Black coming back too?
That's what I wanted to know. Is this going to be a path for him to show back up on WWE, or is he on to bigger, or better things? Do you think he's better off on the AEW independent scene?
They are going to be bought out in the next year or two.
Who, AEW?
No, WWE.
WWE is going to be bought out.
That's the rumor. They're saying that's probably why all these towns are getting
dollars to donuts.
Their books look better. They're trying to make their book look better
so that they can hack up, drive up the price.
That makes sense.
They don't have any contracts. They can drive up the price.
Yeah, they're talking about NBC Universal trying to buy him.
Is that scary to you guys as wrestling fans? Era of the McMahons not owning WWE. Like, does WWE turn into?
It will be the final coffin in the territory system.
Yeah, I like.
Or it will be the resurrection of the territory system. One of the two.
Right. I kind of worry. I don't want Disney to end up with WWE.
No, that's what's going to happen.
No, the way, if they're going to treat it like Peacock is treating WWE on their streaming service, it's going to be horrible, I think.
That's worrisome to me as a wrestling
because
fan.
Because the problem is when it stops making money when it goes into a off season, which wrestling always does. It has on years and off years. When they have an off year, they're going to unload the product or get rid of it, shut it down.
Mm-hmm. That's really worrisome. But, that would be the reresurrection of the territory. You'd have all of these really great talents.
You're going to see.
Dispersing. It's not going to go away. It would be such a weird world. It would be a very interesting time.
I think you would see more indie promotions start up again. I think you would see
big grabs. You'd see big, like a name here starting if like
a promotion. See
Randy Orton being the face of one company. Yeah, you might see.
You would see. I think things like Lucha Underground more.
Right. Exactly. Like kind of huge indie companies.
Yes.
A lot of those, like Ring of Honor, a lot of
mid-level, a lot of mid-card companies.
Right. And then AEW would be the tits at that point. Or what would happen with them? Would they automatically be like? Do you think a bunch of people would go to these guys because they're like
they'll
at
probably
that
try
point?
and scrap every talent.
If I were one of the, I think it would probably go kind of like the Monday Night Wars went, where they will go to WCW first, but the money and the organization that is, one I was listening to, when the last days of Jim Crockett Promotions, JCP, and they had their office was essentially a old convenience store that was retrofitted as an office building. WWE had Titan Towers. Yeah. They had like maybe 7 employees at JCP in the office. Yeah. Vince had fucking like 30, 40. There's something to be said about making having an organization versus whatever, a small business.
Right, definitely so. I don't know. It's going to be interesting if you guys are right about them selling the company. Anyway, you guys ready to hop back and go back in time to March 8th, 1993, Absolutely. Monday Night Raw? All right. Well, even though Kyle was not on the last episode, I do recall, Kyle, I mentioned on the beginning of the last episode how much I love the way it opened up, because it opened up with Bret the Hitman Hart's music. So for me, it was an awesome way. We got Bret the Hitman Hart versus Fatu, I think it was, right out of the gate. And this episode, not so much, right? Because this episode, instead of live Bret Hart matches, we get a backstage promo with the Mega Maniacs, Hogan, Beefcake, and Jimmy Hart.
What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do?
You can't do anything. They accept the challenge of Money Inc. at Wrestlemania IX. And at this point, let's throw back to the song that we sang at the beginning of the show by Julie Andrews, Getting to Know You. Hogan breaks out into song.
Oh my God, so good.
It was like, did you see Brutus's face when
Bruce couldn't figure out the words? He can't even lip sync the words along because
Did you notice that Beefcake says Monday night la? He goes la.
Well, they've been hanging and banging, man. They've been strutting and cutting.
Yeah,
and hanging and banging more than that.
Probably hanging and banging a lot.
Which is fine, which is beautiful. They shouldn't be ashamed if they're hanging nor they're banging.
That's right.
I think that this was a B+ Hogan promo. This was a pretty great promo.
No, it wasn't bad at all. It was. I mean, anytime you get Hogan like busting out into a random song like that, like what came from out of nowhere? Who would have thought like you were going to hear him?
Baby. They know the weak points. Jimmy Hart knows all the weak points of Money Inc.
Yeah, it was a good promo. I agree. Yeah. I'll give it that. Then after that promo though, we flash to the announce team quickly. This week it's Savage, Bartlett, who you said off air beforehand. You gave Bartlett some credit. His jokes are finally kind of getting over to. They're getting over for you.
He is. I'm every week, every episode, I'm finding myself more and more into Bartlett. Now Bartlett nailed it. The announce team, I don't know if I was just like a little sleepy when I watched it. I thought they did a great job. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I also watched a bootleg YouTube version, so it had all the old commercials and stuff. So it had the Wendy's bacon ranch, chicken bacon ranch sandwich. Yeah. Where Dave Thomas was like mixing the ingredients, mixing in like bacon into ranch dressing, and I thought that was really fun. I really enjoyed watching all the old commercials. And I had an Ico Pro commercial with Bret. It was great.
You gotta what is it?
We had a lot of Sir Al being like, promotions paid for by the following: knockout Mike Tyson with ring champs KO, take on the basketball boys in the NBA basketball video game, and it was great. I realized that
it takes you back.
The network doesn't own the old advertisements, but like if you can watch the episodes on like bootleg, it's great if you can get that.
Right, because it takes you right back to when you were a kid. Those are actually that is the shit you were actually watching.
Oh yeah, they were moving like Fire in the Sky was being advertised at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time.
Yep. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah. First match of the night was El Matador, Tito Santana, and Virgil teaming up kind of a throw together team versus the tag team champions, Money Incorporated. This match ends when Ted DiBiase trips Virgil from the outside of the ring. This allows IRS to do a simple back body drop for the pin. Is this a finish that you guys think you would ever see now?
No, not this day and age.
No,
It's such a plain move. Weak.
Oh God, it was such an anticlimactic finish.
Did you guys notice like the face character were being more heelish in the beginning of the match? They were fake tagging and all that stuff.
El Matador and Virgil were doing that?
Yeah, they weren't tagging in at all. They just came and go as please. Of course, they back there and clap their hands together while the ref back was turned.
Yeah,
because they don't know how to tag. They're bad tag teams.
They're not tag team wrestlers.
They're not a tag team specialist.
But I will say that sounds like some Rockers shit. Maybe they were watching Rockers matches. You know how the Rockers do double team stuff.
Well, they were talking about Shawn Michaels and
well, they had IRS being like treated like a face in peril in this match, like for most of it.
Well, I think somebody takes all the heat. Then Ted DiBiase comes in for the hot tag.
Yeah, it's like they just messed up the script or something. I don't know.
I'm glad we're watching. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Santana looked like he was so into it. He was just like he was in what do you call it? Cruise control. he really hated. You could tell he really hates what they're doing to him.
Oh yeah, he hates that gimmick.
He's such a professional. He just goes along with it. But he was on cruise control throughout the match.
It is cool to see Ted DiBiase back in the day. I'm glad we're watching stuff with him right now because of what he's been doing on NXT lately with the $1 million title resurrection. I've really been enjoying all that stuff with Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. And it's cool to see DiBiase on TV still. And I've heard a lot of people, and I agree with it, really give DiBiase props for the bump that he took. From LA Knight when LA Knight decked him and said he doesn't need him.
Yeah, there was no holding back on that punch. He did not pull that punch.
He decked him
good.
There is one thing that you said he did not pull any punches. No, he
bards.
Yeah. There's one thing that I think that Tito Santana and Virgil did have going for them to kind of like congeal them as a tag team partner. I think their gimmick was bad footwear. Did you notice that Virgil had red tassels on his boots and El Matador had hot pink shoe covers? So like that's, to me, that was like the one, and it's like up against his like green tights. It was like just like the worst footwear on a tag team. And so that's kind of like.
I can never take Virgil seriously as a wrestler.
Because his gimmick's like a boxer, right?
Something like that.
Kind of.
He also went on, like when the NWO first formed in WCW, they actually had him be the enforcer for the NWO. Now, what is he going to enforce? He's a joke character.
Right, that's true.
Well, I think enforcers are always there to take the heat, right?
To take the bump for the other guy, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I just can't buy into him. Never have.
Yeah. So, question for you guys. Speaking of like the whole $1 million man title coming back and everything, the whole $1 million championship coming back. So, LA Knight is a new $1 million man, basically. So, if IRS came back, who would he make the new tax man?
Bo Dallas.
That's exactly what I thought. Because that's his kid, right? It only makes sense. So, that would be the new tax man. He'd come back, short hair, looking like
make him like a liberal soy face, kind of like ultra lib, you know. And then don't get me wrong, I love wrestling, and I'm not shitting on the wrestling fan, but I would say a good amount of the conservative wrestling fan thinks of the IRS like this sort of a kind of like government like soy lib, and I think it'd be funny if they portrayed him like that, where he's like super PC and like he's like, oh, you know, you have to give up this belt to this person because they're a woman or an LGBTQ. And
oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
It's cheap heat. It's cheap heat, but I think it would work.
And I think you should take it a step further. That same character that you're talking about, still give it the element of you have to believe that it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh my
he still could be a
He
part.
still does the Bo Dallas
Still
thing.
should do the Bo Leave part of things. Like he should keep a part of that character.
He should be sponsored by Bojangles.
Oh, he could walk around carrying.
But
a
then it
bucket of
wouldn't be
chicken.
KFC honey barbecue chicken, KFC gold honey barbecue, whatever match. Man,
So,
my blinds are falling down. I do not like that.
Your what's falling down?
My blinds, like we have those like Amazon like paper blinds in my office.
Uh-huh.
They're stuck up with like a piece of adhesive strip, and the warmth from the windows are causing them to fall off and like. I mean, you guys can't see because I'm at a desk, but I'm sitting here in my underwear. I really don't want any of my neighbors to walk by. Like, this is where I keep my
For our listeners, we
my
can't
adult
see.
stuff.
He keeps
my big boy toys.
he keeps standing up, and we can see his underwear.
Yeah, I keep showing him
He's telling telling you that we can't see.
I do that thing. I do that thing that Instagram models do, like when they're actually like they're trying to get you to come to their OnlyFans, where they like pull their bikini bottom really tight against themselves. I'm doing that, but all it's showing is like the outline of my balls.
It's working.
It's not really doing anything for the guys, or maybe it is.
It's
maybe
working for me. It's working.
I don't know.
You saying that fell down because of how hot it's been reminded me of like I was in the car, and you know how the thing that you put your phone on is like stuck by that adhesive. Yes. I put my phone on that, and like mid drive that thing fell and like fucked my world up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like driving, watching directions.
God, I've never gotten into an accident more when my phone falls down and I'm just like,
and you're just trying to. I have to get this immediately.
Thing.
Yeah.
Oh, also here are my cowboy boots.
Oh, beautiful! Those are gorgeous, black and tan. You guys should see this.
These are my Dusty Roads, like shit kicking boots. Like I will challenge anyone to a Buckhouse Stampede match.
This is what you're wearing when you and Sawyer
in the steel cage.
There's gonna be blood on those boots.
I mean, like, look, all I would say to Sawyer is, if there's a demon in that boot, if there's a devil in that boot, you put it there.
Yeah. So back to Monday Night Raw. We're gonna let that breathe a little bit. I want to see. We're gonna let that sink and marinate for a little while. Just think about that. Next, they go to footage of Tatanka defeating Shawn Michaels in a non-title bout on several occasions, and they remind us of their Mania Intercontinental title contest. After that, the model Rick Martel comes out dressed like an airplane pilot in a bathrobe. He dismissed the Raw girl and took her sign.
Love that. Yeah. Love that bit.
And shortly thereafter, we cut and we get, I think, back from a commercial break. We get Tatanka versus either Bill or Phil Apollo. I couldn't catch it. It was Phil Apollo?
Yeah, Phil Apollo.
Yeah. I personally...
I tried to look him up. He didn't do anything.
I tried to look him up too, man. I didn't see him do anything either.
Normally we see a jobber and then we look them up and like they've actually done something in the industry.
They become a tag team partner.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. I personally would have rather Rick Martel stayed out to fight Tatanka. But I guess later on, Rick Martel fights, so I guess he had a main event.
I got a little bit of knowledge about my guy Phil Apollo. If anybody
do you?
Talk about
yeah, please share.
So Phil Apollo, better known by his real name, Phil Fantos, better known as Phil Apollo, is a retired professional wrestler who wrestled with ICW and WCCW.
That's insane championship wrestling.
During the 80s, he was part of Gary Hart's New Age Management stable.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he was one of the dynamic duo, not dynamic dudes, but the dynamic duo with Eric Sabraka. He's from Massachusetts. He lives currently in Arkansas. He was ring named. He was billed under the American Playboy, Apollo the Greek, Phil Apollo. Phil
Is this
Santos,
Wikipedia?
And Vince Apollo.
Is this the wikis, man, or who's your source? Who's your source? This is why they call him the professor, guys, is because
I have access to Wikipedia.
When Song says he's done his research, we can rest assured that Professor did more. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I'm just saying, everything he listed off means nothing to me.
He's like fucking saying championship wrestling.
He was in a stable with Abdullah the Butcher, Al Perez,
Stu Hart,
and John Nord.
Yeah, being with Stu Hart is kind of legit.
Gary Hart.
Or Gary Hart. Sorry, yeah. I'm thinking of the Hart family, but Gary Hart. Gary Hart was a great heel manager.
Gary Hart was, he was like one of the top. I mean,
Who's
I would say he's probably in the top 5, if not one of the top 3. He was in, we'll see some more of him. He did a lot of jobbing in the 90s.
Okay.
So
we'll
Raw.
see him on Raw. So.
Specifically in 93 is his kind of year that he did a lot of PWI listed him as number 478 of the
500
best 500 single wrestlers in 92.
You made the list, Phil. Good job, buddy.
You know what? Phil was in good shape. He looked like he was in good working shape. I would say good job on you, Phil. We remember you.
Is Phil still with us?
That's a good question. I believe he is because I believe he resides in Arkansas.
Oh my God!
As far as Wikipedia says, yes, he is with us still.
Nice.
Retired in 95.
Good on you for making the top 500.
Trained by Killer Kowalski.
Oh, that's
love this podcast.
Not like Mass Transit, who claimed to be trained by Killer Kowalski.
Everybody knows who the fuck Chris Chavis is.
All we do is talk about jobbers on this podcast.
Everybody knows who
the Jobcast.
Yeah. That's basically what we are. Let's just talk about the jobbers.
But Tatanka, this whole match really short, right? Just a medium to get over the phone call that Shawn Michaels makes to kind of talk shit during this short match about their WrestleMania match, right? I mean, basically that's all this is an advertisement for the Mania match. Yeah. But I am glad.
It's a pretty good phone promo, though. I normally get annoyed when they do these call-in, but like Shawn Michaels kept it short and sweet, you know.
I mean, look, Shawn annoys me to no end.
You said Shawn annoys you to no end,
but God damn, he's so fucking good at his backstage politics is what it would be.
Yeah.
Revisiting this, it's just, man, like he's got it. He gets it. He understands wrestling in a way that most people don't.
And he did for a long time. It was like he just sopped it up like a piece of bread, man.
Yeah, really, for real. He's awesome.
Speaking of Mania 9, we get another Mania report with our pal Mean Gene. So a couple things for Mean Gene. Yoko is not a Japanese wrestler, and WrestleMania 9 doesn't turn out to be the greatest one ever, despite what Mean Gene says.
Well, Vince says he or somebody, one of the commentary teams says
it's going to be the greatest ever,
the greatest wrestling events of all time.
Yeah, that's exactly what made me write this down. Was like, I got news for you. The guy, like, Yoko's not Japanese, and WrestleMania 9, it had Giant Gonzalez in it. But this WrestleMania report, however, is pretty good because we do get some classic Undertaker, Mr. Fuji, Yokozuna, and Bret Hart promos during this particular WrestleMania 9 kind of run through that we have with Mean Gene. After the Mania 9 promo, Rick Martel is back out again, harassing the Raw girls, still stealing their Monday Night Raw signs.
That's great.
Saying that he can do a better job. Yeah, dude, Rick Martel, I didn't appreciate him when I was a kid as much as I am watching him now. His heel stuff.
His classic heel, man.
His face is
like... interview with Bartlett, too, when Bartlett turns to him and says, "What gives?" Like, there's just such a pure amount of like, hey, man, we stare mostly at like naked dudes. Could you like not remove the one naked woman that like, I realize like it's exploitative and like, probably like shouldn't happen in a modern society. But like his bit of like being like, hey, man, what gives? Like Bartlett's like, I got a little pop from that. Like that made me laugh.
But even you say that it's like dated and not appropriate, but even Raw Underground that they tried to do, what was it, like a year ago? That first time that Raw Underground was on, they had the girls there.
I'm not saying that they're. I mean, look,
that they've made any progress.
Obviously, ignorant to most social issues.
WWE is like
philanthropy is the new
about
public
Raw
relations.
Underground.
I believe was what Stephanie said, right?
What? Yeah, philanthropy is the new public. Yeah, something like that. Don't quote me on that.
Is the new PR or something?
Yeah, she said something like that potentially.
I mean, look, but I mean, yeah, I mean, they always autocorrect, right? Like they won't call the Divas belt the Diva belt. They call it the butterfly like, belt or something like that. And it's just like, I think that's so dumb. Like, own up to your shit. Like, be like, yeah, we had a Divas belt and it was stupid, but you know who also fucking held it? AJ Lee. You know who also held it? Beth Phoenix. You know who also held it? Like Natty, Paige, all these women who changed the game.
It existed, you know.
Yeah, like don't pretend like it didn't exist. I hate that shit.
It kind of was the in between belt, you know, between our current, you know, iteration of women's wrestling that really matters and the old school fabulous Moolah era. It was kind of that in between point where the Divas belt was kind of when they were figuring out what women could be. They still were doing a lot of it was like past the bra and panties era, but still where they were giving the girls like 3 minutes and it was always dumb matches, like with really dumb belts, but it's still, you started seeing really good women's wrestlers showing up at that time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They still were relegated to bullshit, but they were still there. You said it perfectly. AJ Lee, Natty, you know, Beth Phoenix. I totally agree with that. I got excited.
Santina Marella.
Yeah, Santina Marella, one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. Prove me wrong. Next up, I got excited for this one, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I always love the Papa Shango character.
Love me some Charles Wright.
Yeah, and
Charles Wright.
When I was a kid, outlandish and dark, same reasons. I loved Undertaker and Jake the Snake Roberts. I love Papa Shango. And after, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm right there with you. I've been a fan of every Charles Wright character. I loved
a lot of them.
Shango. I loved Kama, the human fighting machine. I loved Kama Mustafa. I loved the
Supreme Fighting Machine.
Didn't care too much for the Good Father, but I definitely loved like all those characters. I feel like Kama, the what is it, Kama the Wrecking Machine or whatever, like before
the Supreme
Mustafa.
Fighting Machine.
Supreme Fighting Machine was like the first MMA gimmick, right?
Yeah,
he was the first like I do mixed martial arts type.
Because that was before what's his name came out, right?
Ken Shamrock and all.
Or
they wanted a character. They wanted a cage fighter character, so they came up with that. But I like the Papa Shango character, man. I like it when you know, he's like putting curse on people. His entrance was always cool with the smoking skull and shit like that. Yeah.
I always felt like they could have treated it more seriously, like they did the Undertaker's gimmick.
Well, it only went for a year.
It would have been like better.
Did you hear that they were going to do that right before they were about to bring back Papa Shango as a darker? It was around the time, if I'm not mistaken, and I feel like this was on some kind of WWE documentary I watched. They were talking about how they were getting ready to bring Papa Shango back as a more serious character around the time that same time that Ultimate Warrior came back and squashed Triple H. Yeah, he squashed Triple H. I think they were supposed to feud, but then something happened, and then they changed it. We're like, you're not going to be Shango. You're going to be the Godfather.
Warrior left. That's what happened. Remember?
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Again, this was during a time that I wasn't watching at that time, but going back, I think that's the story. I
know, like my favorite thing, like a little trivia, is Wade Barrett around 2013 or so. Every year around the Royal Rumble would put on his Twitter, I have like inside information. Papa Shango is going to be a secret surprise entrance, and every year he would put that on his Twitter, and then like nobody did it, and he never showed up, and then he was like on the year he was he was released, he was like, "Man, this is the year WWF is actually going to bring him in just to fuck me."
That's crazy, dude.
Barrett Barrage. I like
Dude, I love Wade Barrett. They fucked up that character so bad, though.
Yeah, Wade was cool, and I'm glad he's still with WWE doing the commentary thing.
I'd
I'd love to see him in the ring again.
Yeah, I like him a lot too.
He's got a very gravelly voice.
The Barrett Barrage. I can't even do that.
I've got some bad news.
Bad news. Bad. Like, sorry if you want to skip ahead to us not doing Wade Barrett impression.
After the commercial, we get the actual match with Papa Shango versus Mike Edwards, who I think had to be related to George the Animal Steel with all that hair on his shoulder and back.
Yeah, he's Mike Edwards.
We're going to go 10 minutes deep on Mike Edwards now.
I was going to say,
there's nothing on Mike Edwards.
Oh, are you going to stand by that song?
I'm going to stand by that. There's nothing on him.
So all I got to say is this match.
He doesn't even have a wiki page.
This match, Papa Shango versus Mike Edwards, was only proof that the match finishes were super lame during this whole era of Raw. I think Papa Shango pretty much hit a shoulder breaker for the win, which was like really anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It's like
Mike Edwards is still in the business. He is from
making shit up at this point.
No, I'm not.
I'm joking.
He's from Burnaby, British Columbia, Canada. He is 5'11", 250.
What does that establish? Nothing. What did he do?
He now works as a referee.
He's a ref? For who?
He's an Indies ref, so I mean he still works as on the Indies. He's been active for 38 years.
These dudes are lifers, man. These dudes are
boom.
I'm gonna stand by my
all
statement.
I have is access
I'm
to
gonna
Google.
stand by my statement.
I'm so brilliant because I
they amounted to nothing.
Shout out to Mike Edwards, man. But you lost to Papa Shango on a shoulder breaker, dude.
And then the commentary staff were the commentary team were like, that's an unusual way of hey pal, that's an unusual way of losing.
Yeah.
Well, goddamn pal, that's the bump you want to go on.
So go ahead and pull up information about Tony Demoro for us, because that's the next match is Bob Backlund versus another jobber, Tony Demoro.
Nothing.
They mentioned
but also 100.
They also mentioned that Bob Backlund at this time is 43 years old, which is my current age, my current old ass age. I cannot possibly imagine doing anything near the level of what Backlund did during this match at my age. Man, Backlund was insane.
Well, like Dave Bautista didn't break into the business till he was in his 40s.
But really?
Yeah.
Batista?
Is 73.
Yeah. Dave Batista is like 73. No.
Yeah, he's old. He's old.
He was in his 40s.
Yeah, by the time he
broke into the business working with the Rock and Roll Express,
he was in his 40s. By the time he was in Evolution, he was in his 40s.
Maybe by the time he was in Evolution, but I saw stuff with him in OVW where he was a different character. Who was the character?
Leviathan.
Yeah. He was definitely not in his 40s then, right?
No, he was 70. He has Benjamin Buttons.
Bob Backlund attempts to shake his opponent's hand, but Tony Demoro is a true heel jobber. Backlund wins.
Pants load, as Bartlett calls him. I like that term, pants load. That needs to get brought back. Like, what are you, a pants load? Like,
I didn't even
catch
that.
What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe they do know what it means. Means you're a piece of shit in someone's pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I once again, good match in the sense that it's Bob always Backlund. Fun to see duck ass Bob Backlund like waddling around. Like,
he's such a weird dude.
I can't watch a Bob Backlund match because of OSW without thinking of like they did a I think it's like I forget the guy who does the it's like a remixed dance hall song with Bob Backlund saying I don't eat marijuana.
Really?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The package that Backlund won with was really cool looking. It was a very different roll up pin. Did you guys notice that? That pinning combination, as they would say,
Yeah.
was very interesting.
It's kind of odd that he went for that kind of pin because he had it was a pretty high impact move that put him down. And then was there a purpose to?
I don't know.
It's
it was
called
just.
Buckland.
It was called Danger Mouse, and it was called Buckland.
No, Dank Mouse.
Oh, Dank Mouse. I was like, dang, okay. I'm gonna have to check that out. Can you actually?
Yeah, I'll message it to you.
Message it to me. Yeah, and we should post that to our Pin the Champ page as well.
Yeah,
we should definitely do that. In honor of July 1st, we'll post something about Bob Backlund saying he doesn't eat marijuana. But yeah, I have no idea why he chose to do that. I would say Backlund just likes to do really cool moves. So instead of a regular roll up, he wanted to do some crazy thing just because he could. Backlund's like that, man. I've heard people say that they've gone over to visit Bob Backlund, and he like invites them into his gym, and he's just like, he will show off his power, and he's like, if Dave Batista's 70, then Backlund's at what, 132?
Yo, Backlund's immortal. He's part of the quickening. He's never gonna. I say that and like, watch, it'll be on the news like Bob Backlund passed away. I hope not. But like, Bob Backlund is such a weirdo, and I love him for it. Like, he plays this insane character, either intentional, like, because like I've watched him when he was like the super baby face, and he was like Mr. Muscles. Like, he had that like big head with the like big chest, thin legs. You know, he's kind of, or muscular legs actually, and doing kind of like, you know, old
70s,
school,
80s era Bob Backlund.
70s more, or early 80s,
70s and early 80s.
He was pretty great. He played a great babyface, and now watching him as a weird old man is great. Yeah. I love watching Bob Backlund.
His character that was just always, when he came back and returned after that whole 70s era thing, his character was always like weird, broken old man of some type. Just like crazy old man that could twist you up in a knot, you know? I thought it was great when he won the world title as a heel. That shit came out of left field, you know what I mean? Like out of nowhere. He defeats Bret Hart, and I was just like, what? I mean, I was like, really, but it was just so that Diesel could get the belt. But because I think like Diesel won the belt off of Backlund in 8 seconds, like a couple of days later. Moving along, Bartlett is in the back interviewing the model. This is what you were talking about earlier. You love this interview. To me, it got me thinking about how Matador and Martel kind of got saddled up with these crazy gimmicks after Strikeforce, right?
Yeah.
And it got me thinking about what you were talking about earlier, Song, about how El Matador Tito Santana was always talking about how he hated his gimmick. But I never really read that much about Martel. So I kind of took a look into that. And I found out about what Martel thought about his gimmick. And if you don't mind, I would like to read that to you. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Please share.
So Martel spoke fondly of his days as the model during the shoot. And Gutman questioned him about the difficulty of a gimmick like that. After all, Rick had to stay in shape, tan, and stay well dressed. It required a lot of work. And this is a quote from Martel. Yeah, it did require a lot of work, especially Vince wanted me to wear the suits, ties, you know. I lived the gimmick also on the road. I had to carry these suitcases with different clothes in there. Also, the gym, the tan, and yes, the fact that I had this strong French accent made the gimmick perfect for me. I remember the first day when I turned heel, I didn't have a gimmick. I just knew I wanted to be a heel, but I didn't know what kind of gimmick. I remember at first, J.J. Dillon and Vince came up to me with the idea for the model. The first day I found out about it, I talked to my wife right away and said, wow, the model. I wonder what I'm going to do with it to get some heat. My first reaction was how difficult it was going to be. Then my wife said, just be thankful, you know, that you're not a rooster or something like that.
Oh, Terry Taylor.
Nice. Yeah, so I just thought that was too fucking hilarious.
That is funny and true and beautiful in that he recognized like that he needed to
get be worse
right away. And yeah. I thought he did a great job. I thought taking the Raw Girls thing and being like, no, let me show you how a real model does it was brilliant. I really enjoyed the hell out of it.
And the reason this was such a successful Monday Night Raw, because I think that you had mentioned that you like this Raw a lot, was a lot in part to the fact that the model did come out during the whole course of the show and kind of get heel heat before and ahead of his main event match against Mr. Perfect. And that's what happened next was the model Rick Martel versus Mr. Perfect, which was our main event. This match ended during the commercial break, which was kind of weird, with a perfect plex. Perfect brought out the Raw girls that the model was harassing to end the show. I thought it was cool that Macho Man mentioned that he's behind Perfect because they were Survivor Series partners as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that he brought that back.
Did you guys notice, like, before the match started, Vince was asking Macho Man who he think was going to win, and Macho Man answered, and he asked Bartlett, and Bartlett was like, "You told me it was going to be perfect," like it was from the production note or something.
You told me it was going to be perfect? No, I had no.
No, you go back and listen to that.
You told me it was going to be perfect.
Yes, Bartlett, nailing it as always.
Yeah.
I was like,
folks,
oh,
this is a Pro Bartlett podcast.
He's taking stuff from production and like just airing it out.
But this
I've changed positions on Bartlett. This is now a Pro Bartlett podcast.
That's hilarious. I had no idea. I have to go back and listen to that. But
I was like, what
yeah.
the hell?
That's my big takeaway was that Martel, while, I hated him when I was a kid, I hated his character. That only lends more credence now that I'm an adult and love his heel work.
That's just him doing his job.
It was him doing his job. And it was like, that was probably my highlight, was of course that, Martel throughout the episode. Vince announces Kamala, Razor Ramon, and Typhoon versus Bam Bam Bigelow for next week. That ends the show.
Match we've all been asking for.
Yeah. Final thoughts, guys. What were y'all's highlights? What do you think?
I would call this an above average. I would call this like a B plus.
Like this is a Daniel Bryan show, a B plus player show.
Yeah, he's a B plus. This is a B plus player show.
Yep.
No, this is a B plus episode. I would.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth the watch, especially if you can find it with the old commercials.
It's solid. It's a solid above average show. At least I had a real main event. I just wish, I guess the WWE is still trying to learn TV because they cut to a commercial before the, like during the, they ended during the commercial. I guess they're still learning that part of it, but yeah, a good main event. And we had 3 jobbers that, that amount to anything. Despite what Kyle says.
Yeah, that's true. That it's interesting that you bring that up, Song, because that's the second time during this early iteration of Raw. The first time being the Undertaker versus Skinner match that went to the next week, and then this example where the match ended during the commercial break. Yep. Well, guys, before we hop off today, I know that like the episode before last, Kyle posed a question to us. We haven't had an opportunity yet to respond to that question. So, Kyle, if you want to take it away, just refresh our memories. What was the question you asked us the other day?
My idea, well, the question was, in a hypothetical world where Vince is taping a rocket ship to Glenn Ruth's back, and he is going to make him part of his new tag team or new popular tag team. And so I asked you who would be a great tag team partner for Glenn Ruth, our favorite jobber / headbanger. Not Beaver Cleavage. I believe that's the other one. Yeah, I'd love to hear your responses.
Song, man. What do you think?
Glenn Ruth was Mosh, right? Or from the Headbanger?
Thrasher.
Yes.
He was he's one of the head. I believe he
was Thrasher.
Not Mosh. Yeah. Well, I would team him up with Doink, and I'll make a circus stable, and they'll come out in clown cars. I'll just go full-blown circus with it. Like every character in that stable would be some kind of circus clown.
Okay, so they'd all be clown themed.
All clown themed.
I'd be kind of. Yeah. Would that be kind of would they be kind of crazy?
Yes, of course they'll be crazy. And,
so would you call that like an insane clown posse?
Very much an insane clown posse.
Well, I think that could be a really cool dark character that could play well around people
Dark
like
clowns?
Undertaker. No,
You
no,
wanna
no,
do
no,
Dark
clowns.
no, no. I'm saying that a twisted clown is automatically like a kind of a psychotic character that would
scary thing.
It would mesh well around Halloween or with Halloween related
So
characters.
you would
like
put Undertaker in this circus stable
Right.
too?
No, I would
No. I would have them fight. Yeah, they would be nemesis. I think an insane and twisted clown versus like the Grim Reaper could be.
A posse of insane clowns.
How about the circus versus the ministry? They had the Ministry of Darkness for a little bit.
Oh, I would love that. Like the dark,
maybe
like a dark carnival.
Yeah. That's actually
I like it.
All ICP references.
Yes, I realize. Yeah, no, yeah. Are you going to bring the Great Malenko in?
I was going to say maybe we could call him the Great Malenko.
The Great Dean Malenko.
Oh, that would be funny, actually.
Yeah. Bring Dean Malenko into it as like a character.
Oh, call him Boris the Great Malenko.
Have Piero the clown, like the French clown. Like
that would like have him named after Dean's father, Boris Malenko.
Yeah, you can really get deep with it.
That would I would that fucks. I like that. That's a good answer. All right, Jeremiah, what about you?
All right, so I got two things because during your original questioning, you kind of brought up the guy that I was thinking, which was Duke the Dumpster Drosy, to package them as like, I would have them legit come out on the back of like dumpsters, and their job would be to like wrestlers or like tag teams that they thought were trash. They would literally be trying to like beat them and throw them in the trash can. So like it'd be them versus the Bushwhackers, like get the hell out of here, Bushwhackers, you're trash. Like any like trash tag team.
I see.
Anything like that, which I definitely love songs more. And then my other thing was like, just because you had already mentioned that, was kind of like Thrasher already kind of sounds like Demolition. So could we bring back like a different Demolition?
Make him the third member of Demolition.
No, there's already a third member. This would be or just bring back a whole new iteration of Demolition with Thrasher and Axer, and like have them managed by one of the old Demolition guys.
Okay, yeah, Barry Darsow.
Yeah, cool. Like Barry Darsow or Axe, whatever his name was.
No, because Barry Darshow's busy being Repo Man.
That's right at this time. But I gotta say, like, I know who's winning this one because that clown thing is cool.
Well, I didn't get to give mine, which is pairing him with Ron Killings, aka R-Truth, and they would be Ruth and the Truth.
Ruth and the
Truth.
And so obviously that's the correct answer. But no, I really like both the answers. I thought songs after we made it specifically ICP.
Oh, I know it just got so deep.
Shout out to all the juggalos and juggalettes out there. And the jugga people, the jugga folk.
What's that one guy
have a specific gender or sexuality that they conform to? On my jugga.
What is it? Human? Do you remember Human? He's like a juggalo.
I don't.
He's like that YouTube sensation guy that jumps off of stuff, and he's like whoop whoop.
Well, I do know him.
Yeah, he's like
No, I've never heard of this guy.
Whoop 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 whoop, and then he jumps into you got to check him out. It's Human with 2 M's, HUMMAN. Yeah,
amazing.
And he's definitely juggalo status. And did you have another question for us, Kyle? Have you thought of that? Are we gonna?
I do. Song, you've shown a disdain for jobbers, and we all know that you hate what you can't do, and so
so you're saying you can't be a jobber?
I'm saying
I'm always top billings, man.
Yeah, well, we all know that song is like mid-card hero. And so my question would be, if you could pick a jobber persona, what would it be?
That's a great question.
If you could pick a jobber persona,
like the Brooklyn Brawler. That's
right.
That's exactly the first thing that came to my mind. So
I'll be the Cambodian janitor. I'll clean up the arena afterwards.
Oh my God, that would get over. I guarantee you that would be one of those things that's like start outs to be a joke, and you get squashed every week, and then
like how Like in the old days, the crowd were allowed
a messy room match or something.
Right. Well, the old days, the crowd were allowed to throw shit. Well, I don't know if they were allowed to, but they did anyway. They threw shit in the ring and crap like that. And then I would come out and I would clean all that shit up, and then I would take somebody's finisher.
That would be fucking phenomenal. That's a great idea. You just answered it this week. Fantastic.
If given some extra time, I might be able to come up with something better. But the first thing that comes to mind is I've always kind of thought, like, it's been a long time since like the Nature Boy gimmick has been done. There was a Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers, and of course Ric Flair. But if you could, and those are successful gimmicks, but if you could be a jobber and base it off the Nature Boy, except for it's like the literal reincarnation. Like every week I'm coming out dressed as like a different animal. Like it's really,
that'd be funny.
And just getting like,
so you're like, I'm literally the Nature Boy.
I'm the Nature Boy. Like, like
you're like nature.
Yeah. I like nature.
Not like
yeah. Yeah, like I like nature.
So you come out hugging like hugging a tree or something in the ring,
and wearing a WWF shirt while World Wildlife Federation.
Yeah.
Just to add insult to injury.
That's good.
No, that's
good
awesome. That's a great answer, man.
I would say off the top of the dome, I would go with liberal character.
But he would get over, though. He would get over.
Because, like, I'll share my politics real quick. I'm about as far left as you can go. But I like making fun of liberals because liberals suck. I think everybody. The one thing that brings like the far left and the far right together is making fun of liberals. And so I think we could unite on that, and that would be my jobber character. Is like a soy boy lib who's like super PG.
And just gets destroyed by everybody.
And like if he's fighting a person of color, he just lays down. He's like, oh, I couldn't.
Oh shit! So the janitor actually get a win.
The janitor would get a win.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he would just be like kind of condescending too.
Oh wow, yeah.
Because libs. All right, sorry. This is not a political podcast. None of the views expressed by Kyle are endorsed by Pin the Champ.
It's Kyle's and Kyle's alone.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that, man, I really like both of yours. The Nature Boy and awesome. That's like a Shark Boy type gimmick that I really like. And then the Cambodian janitor that comes in and takes the power. Like that's a WCW gimmick in like the early 90s that would have gotten hugely over. Like they would have made it racist by making you like know martial arts secretly. But like it would be phenomenal. It would be phenomenal. Good job.
Awesome question, Kyle. Thanks for coming up. Hey guys, Kyle
Love
came
that
up with
question.
that one on the fly as well. So I want to pose that question to you guys as well. At the end of the episode, we'll have our phone number, all of our contact information. If you guys could be a jobber, make your own jobber character, some dude that's going to get beat up all the time, how would you make it your own? How would you make it super creative? And what jobber would you be? We are out of here for the night.
Like and subscribe, please.
Peace.
Good night.
As always, thank you so much for listening. Now we want to hear from you. You can hit us up at pinthechamppodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at pinthechamp123, and our Google Voice number is 804-446-1139. We can't wait to hear from you.